furlong, they could be in single file anyway.
In certain circumstances, over jumps, we hear the stewards actually pass a message to the boys, the girls in the weighing room, the jockeys, to say go steady and ride according to conditions. Will that have been said today?
I suspect it will. And it's now down to jockeys to do their best to win the race. You can't just, dawdle along for 4 or 5 furlongs in a little posse and then race for 1.5. Now the decision's been made that we're going to race. It's every man for himself, every woman for herself. Go out there and do what you can to win. So it could be interesting as regards which part of the track they explore. I must admit, if I had a choice in a sprint race, I'd be tempted to come near side. Very tempted.
They're about to leave the paddock there. They are. They're on their way down. That's maybe the way they'll be coming back, although not necessarily in that order. Graham touched on the fact it could well be Indian file the time that closing stages are reached. And these are 2-year-olds. These are just babies, remember. Number 1's a non-runner, so we've got 4 of them, all debutants making the way to the start.
Yeah, and we got about 4 minutes to set this race up if we go off at 2:10. The first question I would pose, Gordon, is I would never dream of querying the BHA race planning policy. But if I was planning a maiden here for 2-year-olds on this day, I don't think I'd restrict it to newcomers, Gordon.
No.
You don't have a deep pool of 2-year-olds to draw on in Scotland. You don't have too many southern travellers to Hamilton nowadays, given the cost of getting here, etc. But they've chosen to restrict this race to newcomers only, who are EBF qualified, and hey presto, you get a small field even before the withdrawal.
Yeah, I'm just looking, with 14 entries, it's cut up to 5 on the day. One of them's been taken out, 4 of them go down. Our favourites, number 4, Willie the Whipper for Anne Duffield. I thought it was a little bit on the leggy side, and I see it's got a cross noseband on as well.
That's exactly what I wrote. Leggy, on toes, cross noseband. This is Willie the Whipper, number 4 we're talking about. By Whipper, as the name suggests, the dam stayed well, really well. Bit of stamina won't go amiss in today's conditions, and Anne Duffield has had a good season with her juvenile so far. 8 from 61, I think it is so far, so a reasonable strike rate. The stable ought to know what they have to go to war with here, provided Willie the Whipper has been working with 1 or 2 of those previous winners.
And that dam that Graham was referring to did stay well. She actually won races at up to 14 furlongs, so that will probably need to kick in to help Willie the Whipper get home. You can see that cross noseband that Graham and I were on about.
Yeah, just on the subject of the jockey Graham Lee, well done to Graham for getting 50 up at Ripon the other day. As lots of people, jockeys, stable connections, stewards, etc., were walking down, poking sticks in the ground, Graham Lee was charging up the hill in his tracksuit, woolly hat, keeping fit, sweating off the odd extra pound. He's a real pro, and that professional attitude is shone through all season.
I echo that. I just wish I could charge up the hill as quick as Graham Lee was doing there. Now, going down, we can check out the second favourite, Marcus Caesar. Graham Gibbons is on board. I put this down as a neat type. David Parrins too. Oh no, you didn't do the same.
You can copy my notes, no. Mr. Brown. I wouldn't like to have you sitting behind me in class.
Time form and race form, remember?
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, he is neat. He's by Antonius Pius, a mercurial, high-quality Coolmore miler who threw away the Breeders' Cup Mile at Lone Star Park many years ago. He's not made that big a splash as a stallion. He's already been gelded, Marcus Caesar. Again, David Barron has a team of 2-year-olds that's pretty strong. 8 from 47 with his juveniles so far. So Marcus Caesar is here for his debut with 3 other newcomers. Neat, quite compact sort in appearance. He wasn't the best looker. That honour, such as it is, in my book at least, went to Indie Band.
Indie Band, another one with the cross noseband on, another one making its debut, another first 4 I should have said, because we had one the other day when I was working here at Hamilton Park. I've put quite fit and light framed.
Yeah, I think I didn't describe him, but I think he is the horse with the best physique, perhaps for the medium term. He's got a little bit of scope about him. It's all relative. We've only got 4 runners here, and the other 3 are nothing flash physically, to be honest. As regards Indie Band's pedigree, he's by Indisatchel, and there's a sort of conflicting stat as regards the stable. Ben Haslam, his trainer, Indie Band's trainer, has had a couple of juvenile winners here at Hamilton in the last few years, but the stat that I've written down here is that the stable are 0 from 35 with 2-year-olds since 2010. So it's a good while since you've had a 2-year-old winner, let alone a 2-year-old winner first time out. In terms of appearance, however, he caught the eye in a fairly average bunch.
And the outsider of the party on 28 to 1 looks as if the race would bring him or her on no end is Dark Marvel, who didn't cost a lot of money, and Alan Berry is the trainer, and Paddy Aspel on board. Whatever she does today, she'll be a fair bit fitter, because she looked pretty sort of backward to me.
She did to me. She looked dull in her comp. She's small, by Captain Marvellous, pretty good sprinter, I think, for Barry Hills in the old days. I don't think Captain Marvellous has had a winner at stud yet, but the stat that maybe catches the eye here is Alan Berry in the last 5 years with 2-year-olds Gordon, a tepid 2 from 270.
Going behind then, it won't take too long to load up these 4 newcomers, or you never know just how they behave going into the stalls for the first time. Confirming, Graham, as final thoughts, the stalls for the 6 furlongs now in the straight in the centre.
Yeah, and the points to look out for, that path across the course, approaching halfway, diagonal path, weed killer land is what some people here are calling it. There's grass cuttings on, it's marshy, it's boggy. Let's hope they come home safely right through the day. 4 in, here we go, Gordon.
Yep, over to Richard Hoyles.
So Ryder on Indy Band just adjusting the goggles, but they're off and racing, and Marcus Caesar by some way best out of the stalls. Willie the Whipper just running a little bit greenly on the outside, the white face. So it's Marcus Caesar in the beige colours who leads Indy Band in the pale blue. Willie the Whipper on the descent is making progress with the white face, and Dark Marvel is the one that it is the rear of the field as they make their way now down with 4.5 furlongs to run, coming right up the centre of the racecourse. Marcus Caesar it is with the advantage. On the right, the pale blue colours of Indy Band, and then Willie the Whipper with the white face. And this trio have stretched about 6 to 7 lengths clear from Dark Marvel, who's readily outpaced and hanging as in a spearhead formation. Marcus Caesar leads Willie the Whipper and Indy Band as they make their way with still 2.5 furlongs to travel. Out in the centre, Marcus Caesar's done it readily throughout. Willie the Whipper on the far side. Indy Band is still in there pitching as well, but still Marcus Caesar, who was fast out of the stalls, has made every single yard. Willie the Whipper in second place. Indy Band now a couple of lengths away in third as the 2 principals forge on up the hill. Willie the Whipper on the outside of Marcus Caesar. They've seen off in the third place Indy Band as they make their way up the hill. Willie the Whipper has moved through to lead, is showing signs of inexperience out in front, but leads Marcus Caesar, and Willie the Whipper is coming away in the closing stages. Yet another one for Graham Lee, and Duffield the trainer. It's going to be a wide margin at the line as well. Willie the Whipper wins, ease down Marcus Caesar in second place. In third is Indy Band, and right the way back to Dark Marvel, who's actually yet to cross the line.
Willie the Whipper then leads about the following pole, justifies 64 favouritism, and in the end beats Marcus Caesar, who was heavily eased in the closing stages. I hope he's okay the way he was eased down by Graham Gibbons. Indy Band back in third, and Dark Marvel a long way behind. 4-3-2-1
is Willie the Whipper wins by a wide margin, engages with a sustained duel with the runner-up Marcus Caesar from 2 out. Indy Band gets very tired and unbalanced. On looks, he'll do better, but only 2 matter now, and despite edging left for Graham Lee, Willie the Whipper masters Marcus Caesar. Have a look at Graham Gibbons. This is either sure that he's got second and therefore easing down, or thinking that something's not quite right. I think and hope that he was just deciding to knock off because he definitely had second and he didn't want to subject Marcus Caesar to an unduly hard race on that very boggy ground. So pick them up. It was soon clear that Dark Marvel wasn't going to show much today, outpaced from an early stage. Right of picture, Indy Band travels reasonably well to past halfway, but he's bigger and somewhat rangier than the others and maybe a little bit weaker, and he gets very tired very quickly. Left of picture, Lee always looked confident on Willie the Whipper, who travelled strongly, stalked the leader Marcus Caesar, mastered him inside the last and pulled right away. Who knows what the form's worth? Who knows what lies in the future for Willie the Whipper and company? What we can say is that on very demanding